Good morning. Welcome to Community Houston. I'm your host, Chuck Akers. With us this morning from the Bayou Preservation Association, Mr. Chris Browne. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning.
Chris is the Bayou Preservation Society's secretary, so serves on the executive committee of the board. Tell us a little bit, just a big snapshot, if you would, Chris. Bayou Preservation Association. Who are you guys? What do you do?
Yeah, so the association is, we were founded by a woman named Terry Hershey. If you've been out to Terry Hershey Park out on Buffalo Bayou on the west side, that's named after her. She was our founder back in 1966.
Wow.
And she and a bunch of her neighbors were alarmed at some construction that was going along on Buffalo Bayou that was being done by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And they found out that they were going to basically concrete Buffalo Bayou. Take out all the trees and put in those side slopes. And she called up her brand new congressman, George H.W. Bush.
I've heard that name.
He was brand new in 1966,
Wow.
And they together managed to stop the Corps of Engineers from concreting Buffalo Bayou. So we've been around that long, transformed today to be a representative of all 13 of the major bayous that are in the Greater Houston area.
Wow.
Yeah, and we have this moniker. We like to say we do CPR for the bayous. We celebrate, protect, and restore.
Oh, very nice.
Our bayous, because they're our greatest natural resource, right?
Yeah.
We're 40 miles from the coast. You got to drive a little ways to get to the hill country. The bayous are our greatest natural resource, and if we treat them as just ditches, that
dumping grounds,
right,
and everything
that
else.
ain't going to be good for anybody, because all that water goes into Galveston Bay and eventually into the Gulf of Mexico.
And we get back whatever we hand nature. I mean, it's just a fact. If you pollute, it's going to come back to you through your water, through your air, through the soil, through the plants that we grow to eat. Sooner or later, whatever you put into nature is coming back, and that makes you guys way more important than the average person might think. But here's the next question for you. So you start off saving one bayou from being concreted. Thank you, George H.W. Bush. Thank you very much. Bush 41, that's easier.
Right.
And so from there it expanded, but why did it expand? What was the vision that made somebody say, you know what, we could probably do this for the bayous in our entire area here?
Yeah, so Terry and very like-minded people that she gathered really put to work trying to shine an eye on the need for environmental issues in the Greater Houston area, and frankly countrywide, because back in 72, Terry and others were instrumental in passing the National Environmental Policy Act.
Oh.
And so that's how we get a lot of these environmental regulations that we deal with today, both good and bad. But you have to start somewhere where you go, look, you shouldn't be doing this to your local ecology. You should be treating it with some respect.
There's some point where nobody would think that's okay.
Yeah.
Dumping oil, dumping pollutants, dumping sewage. No, we don't do that. We're past that.
And so Terry created almost like a dozen or more local environmental type groups, all doing different things. Huh. And over time, what was originally the Buffalo Bayou Preservation Group kind of splintered off. Now you have today other groups that manage or look after just one bayou, but the Bayou Preservation Association is kind of we look over all of them, just advocating for a region-wide type approach.
So a clearinghouse for all of the smaller local efforts.
Well, we're good friends, right? We're environmental
resource
groups
sharing and advocacy, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and making sure that we continue to illuminate everybody on the need to look at these bayous and other natural things like our Katy Prairie, like
which is gorgeous, by the way.
Right.
For people who have not been out to the Katy Prairie, it's amazing, especially if you're either a bird watcher or come fall and early winter when you've got the geese moving through there, the snow geese and all that kind of stuff. It's just absolutely amazing to watch.
Right, and you don't even think about those kind of things sometimes with the concrete and glass that we have in the Greater Houston area and in the suburbs, but the real breadth of environmental difference amongst all of the region the number of ecosystems we have that all do different things, that all work together, and we got to figure out a way to live inside of that at all times. And that's really where we at the Bayou Preservation Association try to go, well, okay, we understand Houston's big. It's going to continue to get bigger. How do we continue to look at these bayous as the resource they are and not just as a ditch?
So it's the management of the natural resource that was already there, because over the years, the decades, the centuries, whatever it is, we've gotten in the way.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the bottom line.
We've treated things differently. We've changed the watersheds. We have basically concreted them, right? We've put a top on them. When it's grass, when it is something like the Katy Prairie, when rain falls on that, those grasses are several feet tall. Well, the root structures underneath those go 3 times that deep, and that allows water to penetrate the soils. Here in Houston jungle of concrete and a few trees here and there, that water isn't getting into the soil. It's running off. So we've overloaded our bayous because we're putting water into them much faster and into much more of it than was originally intended, than the way that nature, designed our area. So we've got to figure out how to help the bayous do their jobs, which is get the water out of here when we have those really big rain events. And so that's where things that are born later, like the birth of Harris County Flood Control and the regulations that have protected our community over time from these major flooding events. The new rules work. The new subdivisions are protected. We got to figure out how we can do that maybe for older subdivisions that don't have those detention basins. And then the bayous get overloaded and overflow and then flood. So, the city, the county all work together to try and improve those bayou systems. But at the same time, we're over here going, well, can we make them look a little bit better at the same time? Can we make them a little more natural? Maybe look at putting, how can we get down in there and maybe put a canoe launch and experience those bayous? Can we put a jogging trail down them to really make a recreational component out of them at the same time? How can we use these to grow our city? And because we're competing against other places that have great outdoors activities, right?
That's true.
So shining a light on how great these bayous can be, and programs like, recently the Bio Greenway initiative, which put all the trails along, many, many miles through all these systems, and allows people to really see them, because you get down and experience them, and they're great for recreation.
So from a structure perspective, you guys aren't really the ones that manage the bayou itself, like, hey, we need to make it flow that way instead of that way because of this problem or whatever. That's the municipality, right? That's the city of Houston or the county, maybe even probably the state in some ways. You guys are the other half of that.
We're kind of the advocacy group, right? We keep shining the light, keep saying why it's important, and then advocating for policies that will affect, doing them better, and figuring out how to clean them up. Running trash pickup program, getting people down and doing water quality testing. A little bit of monitoring over time shows us how healthy these bayous are with the new things that we've done. Right. And so, we're an advocacy group and an education provider.
And you obviously get a lot of metrics that allow you to analyze how best we can move forward. I'm sure you offer all that type of information and analytics to the folks who turn the wrenches with us. It's probably a sort of a teeth on the wheel, isn't it?
We do our best. It's a big system, right? This is a huge area, and 13 bayous and 13 watersheds. Wow. That's a lot of territory.
That's a lot of gallons of water too.
It's a lot, yeah. But it's important, and that's why we do what we do. And one of the projects that would highlight everything that I've been talking about here is down at Challenger 7 Park down on the south side, right? On Clear Creek. And we've been doing a project down there for many years, removing invasive species. And the reason that's important is those invasives will choke out the stuff that's supposed to be here, that keeps our bayou banks stable.
Takes everything all out of balance. Kills all the stuff you need.
Right, and then the critters that want to be there won't come anymore because they don't have the right thing to chew on, and all that. So we have done amazing work down there for many years in conjunction with the county. We've also done, we do programs with inmates. We use them for labor, and they come out and experience that, they'll do anything to get out and spend a day in the real world, right? And but at the same time, we've educated them, and now you've got these people that actually care about something, and it means an awful lot. And when we interview them later, they're like, oh my gosh, we didn't know this. We didn't think about that. And then when we do our trash bash, trash bash is done by the Houston-Galveston Area Council, but we've participated for a lot of years, and we have our own cleanups as well. We did one on Bering Ditch, over here, which was just a shopping carts and mattresses and you name it. You clean that stuff out and you show people what it's like down in these waterways, and it's like everybody's having this eureka moment. Oh my gosh, look at all this stuff that really shouldn't be here. And so if we can shine a light on those by our programming, we've done, there's still so much more to do, but
it's
we've
like
done our
running
job.
your dirty car through the car wash times 10,000. Right? You don't realize how beautiful it is until you get rid of all the junk and the dirt, and then you look at it and go, wow, that's gorgeous. Look at that.
Right. Yeah, it absolutely
used to be
is.
a ditch. Now it's a bayou again.
And we have some lovely ones, that are more natural than others. The ones that run directly through town, except for Buffalo, they're those concrete sides. Sure. But, you go up to Spring Creek, for instance, and it's like another world up there. You can get down on those trails and get down in the water in a canoe, and it's just kind of birds and nature, and you don't hear the cars.
Yeah, I was going to say, it just seems like the rest of the world just kind of melts into the background, and you don't even realize it's there. We're speaking with Chris Browne. He is the secretary on the board of directors for the Bayou Preservation Society. They have a big event coming up September 20th and September 21st. Before we go to break, why don't you touch on that? Tell us what it's all about.
Yeah, so this is actually our 20th annual symposium.
Wow.
It's our biggest educational event. Before COVID, we used to do it in person, and usually has around 200 guests, and we would invite speakers to talk about issues related to the bayou, whatever theme we would choose for that year. One year we did it on dirt. Another year we did it on cleanup, on trash. Okay. So we shine a light on aspects that keep our bayous healthy, or that we need to illuminate everyone on. This year, the balancing growth, preservation, and conservation is really about these forces that we're looking at. I mean, I think you got metrics that are showing like 1,400 people a day are moving to Texas, right?
Howdy, everybody. Come on in.
we're the biggest city, so we're getting a large percentage of that. Well,
sure.
So growth is going to continue, which means we got to continue building. We need more houses. We need more roads. Well, all these things affect our bayou structure.
And if I may, it's also a reflection of the work that y'all do, because as we were mentioning earlier, the health of the bayou system and the appearance and all the aspects that go with the bayou system all matter in things like attracting residents to come and live with us.
They really do, yeah. Now that we know that, we've done a great job in recent years, and say in the last decade, of actually amenitizing them and allowing people to see them for what they really are. And I think that appreciation hopefully translates into people maybe doing the right thing, in their neighborhoods and picking up the trash, and every little thing, everything that flies out of your truck bed, when you're on the freeway, is going to end up in a storm drain, or anything that comes out of a trash dumpster when it gets picked up and some of it falls out, and where does that go? No, it goes into the bayou and then goes into Galveston Bay, and Galveston Bay is a fishery. We love our shrimp and our oysters. Well, they're swimming in that stuff that we've put in the bayous.
Absolutely. And it's part and parcel to when I was a kid. Nobody thought anything about throwing a cigarette butt or a candy wrapper out of a car window. They just didn't even think about it, right? I mean, it was. And then I remember over the years, one person at a time would start realizing, if we're all doing that, we're really trashing things around here. Right. Even without the ecological side of it, you're turning your neighborhood into trash.
Right.
And one person, and I just remember there was some turning point in my life where I said, well, that's littering, and I'm not going to do that.
Well, I think that TxDOT's program, the Don't Mess with Texas,
that's kind of cool.
Really kind of started people to think differently, and they've revived those commercials.
And it's not hokey.
No.
A lot of those types of commercials are really kind of hokey.
Oh,
but don't mess with Texas.
Don't mess with Texas. Come on.
I like that. Yeah. Keep hands off, pal. Trash off. We're talking this morning with Chris Browne, secretary on the executive committee of the Bayou Preservation Society. So tell me now real quickly again, tell me about this event. What's actually going to happen at this symposium? It's online, by the way. Everybody can attend because all you got to do is click. So what's the symposium all about this year? You say it's growth. Give me that again, the balancing growth?
Preservation and conservation, yeah. So over 2 mornings, we've got a total of like 16 speakers.
Wow.
From talking about state water plan, watershed impacts. We're going to have folks from Harris County Flood Control going to present. Bacteria monitoring, nature-based solutions to instead of concrete. What are the nature-based solutions? Sea level rise. stuff like that. I mean, and then what can we learn maybe from other cities that are going through similar things? Like, there's cities in Arizona and New Mexico that have outlawed turf grass, for instance, because they need the water, and it uses a ton of water to keep those kind of lawns alive. Well, what are the options for that? What else can we do different? What can we learn from other cities? And because we've gone virtual now as a result of COVID, but we're continuing it because we've had such success in bringing more guests, but also speakers from across the country that can join us remotely and talk to us about what can we learn. Last year we had people in from Atlanta, and we actually have very similar temperatures, a little bit more topography in Atlanta, right? But similar growth patterns, and we can learn a lot from how they were doing tree preservation in Atlanta.
Interesting work. Chris Browne, Secretary on the Executive Committee of the Bayou Preservation Society. When we come back, we're going to touch again on the event, and we're also going to talk a little bit about how the organization interacts with the community and how the community can actually pay them back for that. We'll be right back here on Community Houston.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
My muscles ached. I was tired all the time.
My son had a full-blown asthma attack. It came out of nowhere.
The unsettling thing about some symptoms is
I had a fever and these terrible headaches.
you don't always know what's causing them.
It was Lyme disease from a tick bite.
I had West Nile virus from a mosquito.
He had a reaction to cockroach allergens.
Threats to your health can come from unexpected places. Get the facts. Visit pestroll.org. A public service message from the National Pest Management Association.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. But most people don't know they are infected. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you can still have hepatitis C, a serious liver disease that often has no symptoms. In fact, people can live with hepatitis C for decades without feeling or looking sick. But over time, hepatitis C can cause serious health problems, including liver damage, liver failure, or even liver cancer. Getting tested is the only way to know if you're infected with hepatitis C. That's why the CDC recommends everyone born from 1945 to 1965 get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments are available that can cure this disease. So talk to your doctor about getting tested. It could save your life. A message from the CDC.
Welcome back to Community Houston. I'm Chuck Akers. Hey, Chris Browne's with us this morning. He's with the Bayou Preservation Association. Good morning again, Chris.
Good morning.
Chris, let me circle back here just a little bit. I want to know how you got involved in this, because most of the time when someone, and by the way, Chris is a volunteer. It's not his job, even though it's his job. But so people who end up doing the types of things that you do for the type of organization you do them for, there's usually something that triggers that. It's not usually just, oh, you need a volunteer? Okay, I'll stop by. What's your story? How did you end up where you are with the society?
So, I'm a native Houstonian, went to college at U of H. I always say born and raised, never been able to get away. And recognized in my professional life as a land planner. I design master plan communities, do urban renewal projects. I've been doing that for over 30 years. There's a natural component that we needed to get into more effectively, and there was an opportunity to participate in a low-impact development competition. It was a design competition.
Really?
Many years ago. And so there's a Houston Land Water Sustainability Forum was the one who put this competition on to shine a light on practices that would be more environmentally friendly and still allow development to occur. It's like, how do we do a more attractive and also more responsible parking lot, for
And they
instance.
wrapped it into a competition to motivate people.
A design competition.
That's pretty cool.
Right? And so as I was getting involved in that, I somehow chance learned about the Bayou Preservation Association. And I don't even remember whether I attended a symposium, but all these years later, I moderate the symposium now. It was a great place to land. Again, because I'm a native and I understood these bayous are the fabric of our community. They run through everywhere. Everything that hits the ground is going to end up in a bayou at some point. Yeah. And so as someone who designs communities for a living, and I got to design places that people live, I also want them to be able to work and play in the same place. And if we can connect that to our greatest natural resource, which is our bayous, then man, win-win. And so, yeah, it just became a very easy, very comfortable way for me to give my time back. And fortunately, my employer has allowed me and encouraged me to continue doing that. So here we are like 15 years later.
Yes, you've been with the Bayou Preservation Association 15 years now?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
How about the rest of the board members, the folks that you work with?
We have a lot of longtime members and a lot of new members. I mean, we are changing. We have to realize that the organization, as it was originally founded, was really friends of the founder of Terry Garshi.
That doesn't tend to last over generations.
Right. And so founded in 1966, we had our 50th anniversary back in 16, right? And that kind of shined a light on our need to bring in younger people. And so, yeah, we got a good cross section on our board now.
Very good. Any thanks to board members specifically? Leadership?
Oh, gosh. I mean, our new leadership with Brittany Flowers is our president and CEO, and she has been on the job now for, I guess, right during COVID was when we hired her. And what she has been able to do, she's doubled our staff size or tripled our staff size, I think. And so we're able to do much more programming. We're able to reach out more. We're able to be more effective in all the things we want to do in our bacteria monitoring. And we have a new program where you can take your pots that your new plants come in. You buy those from the nursery, and those plastic black pots. Don't throw those away. Bring them back to the nursery, and we'll recycle those. And so we've got this new program. It's been really successful. This has only been born this calendar year. And so on our website, biopreservation.org, you can find out some information about where the next collection center is going to be. But
that's pretty cool, and it's so simple.
It's so simple. Yeah. And these are all things under Brittany's leadership that have come in. And so very pleased with bringing her on board and what we as a group have been able to do in a short period of time. And always pivoting, right? COVID made us pivot. And do our symposium virtually. And it's the same thing with the sea's going to continue to grow. And so how do we balance the need to have great natural environment with a growing city? That's what our symposium this year is about.
Kind of there's no real fix, right? I mean, it's always going to be an ongoing
It's finding harmony somewhere.
What's that?
Finding harmony somewhere.
That's
right?
exactly right. You have to, it's just as you suggested here, it's all about the balance, because the bayous still need to be there and they still need to be healthy. But Houston, as you say, is going to continue to grow, and there's nothing we can do about that. So it's a problem of, rephrase that, it's a challenge of managing us living in proximity and all of the things that we contribute, which are not usually good things. It's got to be a jigsaw puzzle every day that you go to work. It has to be.
It is a wonderful way to try and make our city continually better.
Very good. We're speaking with Chris Browne. He's with the Bayou Preservation Association. Let's touch one more time on the event that's coming up in September. It sounds intriguing because I'm one of those guys that would usually say, oh, this is for Bayou nerds, or this is for nature nerds, or whatever. But because it's more than that, it's more than just the ecology of it. It's also, as you mentioned earlier, getting it to fit in with our lifestyles and making the two be able to coexist. So tell me about the symposium again and just kind of recap everything that's going to be happening.
So over 2 mornings, Springs, Wednesday the 20th, starting at 8 a.m., goes till noon. Same thing on Thursday the 21st. We'll have 8 speakers each day, about 20, 25-minute speakers. I do Q&A afterwards. And we have our topics ranging from, like I say, state water plan, all the way to local things, nature-based solutions. We're going to be talking about, a little bit of the warming trend that we're living in right now, all these high temperatures. What happens if there's sea level rise? We're going to be having folks from Harris County Flood Control. But we've also got, our keynote is going to be Dr. Andy Sampson. He was a former Texas Parks and Wildlife chair, and he also, he's founder of the Meadows Center. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
The name's familiar.
The Meadows Center, it used to be Aquarina Springs.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and so now it's a water research center, and you can still go and get on the glass bottom boats there. But Dr. Sampson recently published a book on the art of Texas parks, which is a lovely, lovely book, and it's because this is the 100th anniversary of Texas Parks system this year. Andy's had a long and distinguished career, and so hopefully he'll be able to, as our keynote, just talk about some of the historical things about water use and the way we've treated water in Texas and specifically in the Greater Houston area. And it should be a great event. We've also got the tour of Charles Milby Park. That's at 9:30 on the Wednesday, and then on Thursday after we're done, we're going to have a little network mixer over at River House, and that's from like 4 to 7. So we're doing two full days. But all that information you can find it on our website, biopreservation.org.
Bayoupreservation.org. Bayoupreservation.org. And this is, again, for anybody who's wondering, it's September 20th and 21st. That is a Wednesday and Thursday. The good news is you'll also have it digitally recorded, so that people can go back and watch it later, correct?
Correct, yeah. In fact, you can go see last year and the year before already on our website and kind of get the flavor for what we've done, and some great presentations, again, from places that aren't just Houston. What can we learn from other cities that have a more robust low impact development code? Or again, like I mentioned, what can we learn from tree preservation in Atlanta, stuff like that. So I'm hoping to get some Western states this year to talk to us about how we can do better water usage from a lawn maintenance standpoint. There's probably better grasses to use, or maybe you can
I want the kind of grass. I want the kind of grass that always stays green and never grows. I don't like to cut it. Yeah. Well, maybe someday.
Haven't invented one of those.
Genetically engineer some grass for me there, would you?
I mean, there are studies constantly going on at Texas A&M on exactly that. On finding a great solution to turf grass. But the water usage is something we're going to have to consider, because we need to drink it, we need to use it, but there's only so much of it.
And organizationally, Bayou Preservation Association, this is where we complete the circle all the way back around. How can people here in the Houston area or anywhere, how can they help you? Are there volunteer opportunities, donations? How can the community best help you do what you do?
Yeah, so supporting events like our symposium, it's a small fee to be able to attend the 2-day symposium. We send you a link so you can log in. We have annual gala. We have annual luncheon where we shine a light on local environmentalists, people who have really spent their career or a good significant portion of their life doing great things for our bayous or just our environment in general. And so our website has links to all of those opportunities. But we do training for water quality testing. We need people to go out, and we'll teach them how to do the water quality testing.
Wow, actually helping turn the wrenches.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Again, our website's the best place to do that, and it's got our phone number on there, and call Brittany Flowers and her team at the office, and they'll be able to point you in a direction of interest that, like I say, get down in there sometimes. Here in the Houston, greater Houston area, Buffalo going through downtown, we know what that looks like. It's been amenitized. There's the sidewalks, the trails, those cool blue lights at night, all of that. That's just one bayou, right? And that's the one that people who are urbanites kind of know. And then immediately you go to like Braze, and it's just a concrete V-ditch. And then you go up to Spring, and Spring Creek is this amazing, just fairly natural-looking creek for much of its run.
So they all have a personality.
They all have a personality, yeah. We'll get to know all of them and get to know how what watershed do you live in? right? You can learn a lot about the local ecology by knowing, hey, this is why this area is flood prone. This is why this area is has got a more natural looking bayou. This is why this area needs help. It needs to be focused on, every year when they do trash bash, that we got to pick up tons of trash out of our bayous. Well, that's just one event, one day a year. What can you do the rest of your life to be a good steward of our great natural resource?
So volunteers, they also get an education out of the whole deal, but volunteers, donations, just about anything that would help you guys complete that circle. You're doing great work, by the way.
Thank you.
It's pretty amazing work. Chris Browne, the secretary on the executive committee of the Bayou Preservation Association. Big event coming up Wednesday, September 20, Thursday, September 21, 8 a.m. to 12 noon each day. It is the symposium titled Balance, Growth, Preservation, and Restoration. The big picture of how to take care of our bayous and live in harmony with them. Chris, I can't thank you enough for stopping in. Appreciate you being here on Community Houston.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.